Hello and welcome back to Trad Tuesday. So this is the third brewery of Trad Tuesdays. We've done Holt's and we've done Palmer's, and now we're moving on to Batemans, family independent brewery with a bit of a story. So let's jump straight into it. So Batemans, been founded basically in 1874 by George and Susanna Bateman. The whole idea was to supply farmers who paid their land workers in produce, money and beer. So George and Susanna sold their property in the time. They leased a little brewery. After a year, successful year, they actually bought the brewery, and they was supplying farmers who were paying the workers of the land in beer, produce and money. So that's what, 1874. That's superb, and it went up all the way up to the 1930s. The relationship with the farmers, where they come together once a year and have a big feast at Batemans Brewery. Brilliant. So anyway, it's a 4th-generation brewery, still independent. Up to today, it's Jacqueline and Stuart Bateman. The beers, one of the things I do like to say is our beers are brewed by brewers, not accountants. That's superb. Anyway, first generation was George Bateman, 1874, with Susanna. Susanna would brew in the kitchen whilst also baking bread. So she was baking bread and she was selling the bread as well. So they was making money through the brewery, through the beer. Started off doing it in like a kitchen. It's such a fantastic story. I really do love it. I'm so glad I'm doing these trad beers. And getting to find out the history of these breweries, these independent family breweries. So like I said, they rented the brewery, then they bought it a year later after success. 1880 they bought Salem House and turned the coach houses into a brewery. The beer which was brewed was for the farmers, like I said, to pay for their land workers. And the farmers used to pay Bateman's Brewery mainly with potatoes and meat. It's a fantastic story, it really is. Second generation was Harry Bateman in 1919. He joined the brewery. The things that he did during his time was he purchased pubs. He had tough times through the war, and that's also including all the tax rises then as well, so for breweries and ingredients. He purchased more buildings for a bottling plant, and in 1947, this is interesting, 1947, the brewery actually got mains water supplied. Before that, it was being hand pumped from the local river. I think it's River Haven. And after that, they was also, because the river got polluted, they stopped using that. And they was actually getting water. They had to go and collect water in lorries, in trucks, lorries, 7 miles away from the brewery, and then bringing it back to the brewery to do the brewing. So in 1947, massive thing for them was mains water was introduced to that area. So yeah, fantastic. Third generation was George, 1950. He invested in stainless steel fermenters, just coming away from like trying to help avoid getting in any sort of infections in the beers. He had the fruit trees chopped down near the brewery just to keep away any infection from wild yeast and stuff. By 1957, he had 70 pubs. 1986, there was a family crisis, though. And basically, the brothers and sisters owned the brewery, but one brother and a sister wanted out, and they wanted to sell the brewery. And George at the time was like, it's quite difficult. What do we do? He wasn't sure if it was gonna carry on being independent, but he ended up getting a bank loan, and he got a few investors locally, a few farmers, and it survived. And then it was about paying back that debt. So in 1987, Stuart, who was still involved now, he came to the brewery, and his main objectives, or what he had to do in the 1980s, early 90s, was to sell some of the pubs that they had, just to pay back that debt to the banks, just so can get it off and get it out of the way, to be honest. They also sold the free trade arm of the brewery to Carlsberg and Tetley, and that raised enough money to pay off the debt. So he was quite, sold off that. And then I think 6 years later, they start another free trades arm, and they've said that's not for sale. He also got bottled beers into supermarkets, and he managed them through the pandemic, which his story is quite a tough one. He had a few fantastic people staying, running the brewery. A lot of their beers went off to be made into the hand sanitiser which had in the brewery. Yeah, it's a really good story. Just go and check them out on the internet. Their bottled beers, they've got the Triple XB Pale Ale, they've got the Dark Fruits Porter, they've got the Victory Ale, which I've got here, they've got the Rosy Nosy, they've got the Mocha, they've got the Vintage, and they've got Skull and Hammers. And on cask, they've got Yellow Belly, which is a gold beer, Batemans XB, Triple XB, Skull and Hammers, and Salem Porter, and the Dark Fruit Porter. So, bit of a background, so you can see the history there of the beer. Just a little thing in, because I have plenty of beer books, and I always look to see if there's any interesting things in there. And this is just basically saying a little bit like what I've already said, but this is in one of my 300 beers to try. And this says that Batemans is one of the most idyllic breweries in Britain. It stands on the banks of a small river and is dominated by a windmill that recalls time when grain was milled on the site. George Bateman opened the brewery in 1874, and it's still run by members of his family, including Stuart and Jocelyn Bateman. When the brewery was threatened by closure in the 80s, which I've mentioned, George Bateman, his wife Pat, and children Stuart and Jocelyn threw themselves into a battle to save the company, so it wasn't independent, and that's when they went to the banks. They were victorious in 1986, and though some divine hand had written the script, won Cameron's Champion Beer of Britain competition that year. So, fantastic. This book as well may have a little bit. This is quite a new book as well, Adrian Demi-John's, and it's got the Victory Ale in here as well as some 250 top beers in bottle and can. So Victory Ale has come under his list as well there. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it's got anything written on the bottle. Victory Ale is packed with powerful hops and fruit flavours, 6% ABV. And it says, our story is one of enterprise and innovation, always looking forward whilst remaining true to our family roots. After 4 generations, Batemans is still fiercely independent. Honesty, creativity and gritted determination fuel our passion for our beers. One of our most popular beers, Victory Ale, is brewed with pale and crystal malts and hopped with English Goldings and American Liberty varieties. A distinctive peppery hop and bitter orange aroma is followed by big hops and fruit flavours with a lingering hop bitterness. Set sail and enjoy. Now, I don't know if the Victory Ale is named after the victory of actually the brewery not losing its independency in 1986. But anyway, time to crack it open, and I'll be right back with an opener. Okay, so I've got my Bramall Backroom Brewery opener, which was kindly gifted to me by Jersey subscriber. Someone's come over from Spice and Easy and Simo Subs, but thank you very much, Jersey. Going to give it a go now. Let's crack this open. Let's get it in the glass. Let's get the aroma. Let's get the taste, most importantly. Oh, wow. Look at that. Perfect. Cheers, Jersey. So, let's get it in. 6%. Oh, look at that. Rich mahogany. Really dark amber coloured. I thought I'd put it in the old dimple pot, I think you call it, or pimple pot. I can't remember what you call it now. How stupid am I? There you go. That's poured a lovely dark amber mahogany colour Victory Ale. Looks superb. No matter how much I wash my glasses and try my best, I still get them carbonation bubbles on the side. But there you go, there it is. Looks absolutely superb, really does. Nice white head, well, small head on the top there. Let's get the aroma. It's really malty. It's malty, that's what's coming to the forefront for me. Not picking up on much hops, I'm just getting the malt. Yeah, like a biscuit bready malt is the aroma for me. Okay, cheers, let's taste it. toffee. Toffee caramel. Nice, subtle bitterness. And then it comes back sweet. You can sort of taste it being 6%. It's like an old ale. That bitterness is there. It's coming back. It's a very strange. It's like coming waves. You get the bitterness, then you're getting the sweetness, then the bitterness is coming back, and the bitterness stays at the back of the palate. And the toffee caramel is most dominant. I wouldn't say, oh, it's lovely. It's really malty. It's my kind of beer. 6%, it can be quite dangerous as well. I'm not saying I'm getting much from the hops. They're just there in the background. A little bit of earthiness, a little bit of zinginess coming through. But the malts are singing. That is fantastic beer. Victory by Batemans. Victory Ale. Packed with powerful hops. I'm not getting the hops, honestly. And it says fruit flavours. Me personally, I'm not getting the fruit flavours. I'm just getting toffee, caramel, malts. If I was getting any fruit, it's like a dark fruit. It's not citrus. Not getting that. If it's anything, it's plum, dark fruit. But it's lovely. It's a good beer. You can get that in your supermarkets. I think I picked it up from Sainsbury's or Morrison's, so it's about £2 a bottle. I'd say, yeah, give it a go. Give it a go. Give this traditional brewery, give it a chance. Give it a go, for sure. Okay, thank you for watching. Cheers, and I'll see you on the next one.